It all began with a 2-week trip to the beautiful country of Romania. This is where I peeked for the first time, with eyes wide open, into the life of a child who had no opportunity to get a good education. There we were, standing on the sidewalk with our group eating shawarmas, when a boy pushing through our group was suddenly and violently grabbed by a police and thrown to the ground. It seemed the boy was not surprised, but simply got up and walked on. We were informed later he was a pickpocket and the policeman was protecting us. When I returned home, I dove into research about Romania, and what I found was that there were many of these kids who were orphans from the overpopulated government-run orphanages. After they turned 18, there was nowhere for them to go but the streets. Now, fast forward 4 years. I've gone to college to become an educator, hoping to bring the key to rising above poverty and oppression: education. I step into the streets of Kenya. Sewer runs down the streets and the ditches, and the smell is so overwhelming that it becomes familiar. The children enrolled in school are easy to spot because they have the solid-colored uniform with black shoes. The children who are not privileged to attend school are wandering the streets at all times of the day, laughing and playing, carrying out a task, or selling some trinkets or food. Now step out of Kenya and into Liberia. Here, the entire country is in rebuild mode. Its cities were demolished during a 14-year civil war that wreaked havoc in their streets. But not only in the streets, also in the schools. Most schools were shut down, and many children who spent their whole childhood in the war lost their entire education. I walk into a newly started school and see the same familiar solid-colored school uniforms. The age of the child doesn't matter here, because there are such gaps in their education that though the child may be 12, they are still in a first-grade classroom. This is just a fact of life in Liberia. Let's talk to a parent in one of these places. The response you will hear from any parent is, "We don't have enough money for school fees and uniforms." For me, I could lay down $100 and take care of more than the expense for the year. But then what will that do next year when I have gone back to the States and taken my $100 with me? I have just gained power with my quick money to determine whether their child goes to school or not. Do you see the danger of simply sending funds? We subject their success to our pocketbook. Instead of this, we must bring the tools, the skills, and the attitudes needed to sustain themselves and grow on their own. We must bring education for the educators. Now, how do I, as only one person, or how can you, as only one person, accomplish such a seemingly unaccomplishable task? Well, for me, this means doing the research and lending a hand in whatever way possible. For me, this means taking 6-week to 6-month-long trips with the purpose of training native teachers in areas where schools are just beginning. For me, this means finding the organizations with long-term goals to bring a sustainable education program to the people that will enable the native people to become the educators. Now, my question is for you. How can you share the wealth?
Be joyful for the